Hey guys, quick heads up. Before we dive in, just remember everything you're about to hear is purely subjective. That means it's based on personal opinions, wild experiences, and a few unfiltered thoughts. So, if you're looking for hard facts or official advice, well, you might want to look somewhere else. We're here for real talk, not right answers. So take what resonates, leave what doesn't, and feel free to agree, disagree, or just laugh at the chaos. All right, let's get into the episode. Hey guys, welcome back to Subjective. I'm your host, Danielle, and today we have a very special guest in a really good episode. But before we get into that, I thought we would do a little pre-show, pre-game, and catch up a little bit, talk before we get started. So as of right now, while I'm recording this, I'm actually not sure if the Black History Month Part 2 episode is up. And let me tell you why. Because me and LJ were recording, and I went to start editing the video when I noticed that when the camera had died and we put in a new battery, we did not start recording on his camera. So there's a whole chunk of footage that is missing and it only has the audio. So I haven't decided yet if I'm going to still upload the episode and keep it as is without his footage. I don't know. I literally do not have the capacity to try to record it again. So it's either it's going up with the footage that I have or it's not going up at all. So we'll see, because I seen that and I had to just log off. I couldn't even deal with it today. However, if that episode's not up, there's still part 1 that's up. And if you haven't seen that yet, it was essentially a little mini series on Black history, and it talks about pivotal figures in Black history who you probably never heard of because they were left out of our textbooks. So after you watch this, go check that out. I'll leave that in the show notes. I also dropped a new Substack series. So if you haven't read that, you should read that. Essentially, it's called The Director's Cut, where I posted after the latest episode has went up, and it has some deleted scenes from the episode. It has some insights, some outtakes, a little bit more detail of the behind the scenes of making that episode, and then any resources, links, things that I talked about in the episode are also in that Substack article. And if you subscribe, then you can get the article sent to your email directly every time I post. So go check that out. It's a lot of detail. It's so good, especially the Black history one. And other than that, I wanted to continue to thank you guys for your support, watching the episode, sharing it, listening, all of the things. I'm super grateful. Like, the support has really been more than what I expected. So I'm really happy and I'm really proud of that. But as always, I still want to hear your feedback. So if you guys have episode ideas or things that you think would make a good episode, topics, whatever, let me know. Send me a DM on Instagram or leave it in the comments, whatever you feel. And of course, like the videos, share them. If you listen on Apple, Spotify, or any other podcast platform, be sure to leave a review. And obviously, 5 stars only. However, whatever you have to say, just say it with your chest. And if you love the podcast, don't gatekeep. Like, share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it with someone that you think would enjoy the episode. That really helps more people find the show, and it also really encourages me to keep posting new episodes. So I would really appreciate that. And as always, follow at The Subjective Podcast on Instagram and TikTok. And yeah, that's especially on TikTok. That's where all the good stuff happens. I try to post every single day, and I always love to read the comments and respond to you guys. So make sure that you're following there, because yeah, that's just the best way to keep up with all things on the podcast. Now, with that being said, in today's episode, I'm sitting down with a young lady named Jackie, and we are talking about everything that transpired in our 20s. So we have a very similar experience of how things kind of went about. And so we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about our feelings of turning 30, some of the things that transpired from starting fresh in a new city, going through breakups in our 20s, bossing up, new careers, all of the things. We're going to share our journeys, the lessons we learned, all things that we wish we knew when we were 20. Jackie is actually a realtor here in Charlotte, and I actually met her at F45, which is a workout that I used to do. So it's going to be a really good episode. I'm super excited. She's my first guest that is not my family or friends, so that's exciting. And yeah, so let's get into the episode. I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Okay. Jackie, welcome to Subjective.
Thank you.
I think we first need to start from the beginning. So I need to tell everyone how we met, how we know each other. Like, you're not just a random person.
Correct.
So I think, though, we should start from the beginning, and then where we meet comes into the story. That's where we'll get into that.
Okay.
So first, where did you go to college at? So since we're talking about our 20s and then transitioning into our 30s, when I started college, I think I was like 18. So I think you probably around that same age?
Yeah. I was 18.
Okay. And what year did you graduate college?
2016.
Okay.
Yeah,
me too. So we were in college at the same time. So what college were you at?
I was at University of Louisville.
That's so funny.
Me and Lamar.
Because I went to Marshall. So we weren't too far from each other.
No.
And you grew up in Kentucky?
Yeah, in Louisville.
Your entire life?
Yes.
Okay. And I grew up in West Virginia, but like in the Eastern Panhandle.
Okay.
Then I went to Marshall, which was like 6 hours away from home, but still in West Virginia.
Yeah.
And so you were in college, living your best life. What were you doing in college?
Oh my God, commuting.
Oh, so you lived at home?
Yeah, I lived at home. So it was like a 20-minute drive onto campus. And that was not cool. So like my freshman year, I didn't even want to go to U of L. So every day I was like, I hate this. I don't want to be here. And then I actually joined Greek life my sophomore year. And I swear that's the only reason that I stayed in college.
Oh, which sorority did you join?
Zeta Tau Alpha.
Oh, okay. Cool. So you joined the sorority, and then were you like living the college life even though you lived at home? Were you like partying and stuff?
Not really.
No?
So I dated a guy like through high school and college, and it was kind of like a little bit of a controlling situation. So I rarely, even in Greek life, like I didn't really party very much. I didn't really go out very much. I really hung out with my girlfriends that I made in Greek life, and that was, I mean, I did some extra things here and there, but
yeah.
no, I didn't have like the college experience.
Okay.
I don't think.
Okay.
But.
So when you got to college, you were already in a relationship.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I went to college, I was single my freshman year, and then I started talking to this guy when I was a sophomore, and then eventually he became my boyfriend.
Yeah.
And so you went to college. Nova. Just make her sit down, Jackie. Sit down, Nova. Sit down. Nova. No, come here. And sit down. Are you going to sit? Come here. Oh my gosh. Sit down. I know it's exciting, but you have to sit down. We're recording the pod. Sit down. Okay. See, you're interrupting. Now, so you went to college, you were in a relationship, you graduated in 2016.
Yes.
How did you end up here in Charlotte?
So I got really into like fitness and exercising in college. Like I was infatuated with it. And at the time I was an undecided major. So I really had no idea what I wanted to do. Like I liked art, but growing up it was, and even like in college, it was like, oh, what are you going to do with an art major? Like you're not, nobody's going to make any money. You're not going to make any money in art. And I was like, okay, I'll do exercise science. I like to work out. So that's what I did. I got an internship working at a gym my last semester of college. training athletes. So I was a sports performance coach, and I loved it.
Ooh.
And then graduated in December. I did a little half of a victory lap at the end. And then I met a guy at the gym. So I'll backtrack. I broke up with that guy that I dated through high school and college.
Okay.
Sorry, I did not have two boyfriends at the same time.
I was like, oh, this is getting good.
No, I broke up with that guy. There was just like too many questions I was having. Like, is this really the person that I'm supposed to be with? Like, and I was like, well, if I'm asking all those questions, probably no. So we broke up, and we had dated for 8.5 years.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Very long time. And I was like, I think I was 23 or 24 at the time.
Yeah.
So I was still like super young. So I made that decision, and it was like the relationship was fine. There was no reason to leave except for like it just wasn't, I guess, like exactly what I wanted or like everything that I needed.
Yeah.
And then yeah, I started dating a guy that I met at the gym.
Okay. So was it like one of the athletes you were training?
Yeah. Yeah. This sounds like, oh my God. Me and my boss from the gym that I worked for, like, used to joke. He would always be like, you're not even supposed to be doing this. And I was like, yeah, but like, what are we going to do now? You know, like you guys kind of pushed my boss was like infiltrated the whole situation, like kind of pushed us together essentially. And all the other, like the adults that would work out with us, like, we're like, oh yeah, you should just do it, you know. And we just started hanging out, and then we just like never left each other's side basically since then. Yeah, it was very cute.
That is very cute. So did you came to Charlotte for exercise science, or you came for him?
I came here for him.
Okay, so he was coming here regardless.
Yeah. So so we started dating. And so when I worked at the gym, I was training athletes, and I think he was the first year that I was there. We do like a combine prep program. So for like college football players that are draft eligible, they would come in and do like a 10 to 12 week kind of like combine prep, except for the guys that weren't doing or that didn't get invited to the combine would do a pro day.
Okay.
So all the guys that we trained basically have pro days. So yeah, and this was kind of before we were really hanging out. He got signed free agent with the Bears, and then got hurt, got cut, and then rehabbed. And then once he was done rehabbing, he came back to the gym to kind of like build strength back up, work on his speed, agility, you know, all that. And then that's kind of when we started like hanging out. So he wasn't really with the team when I got to know him. And then, once we were kind of like hanging out 24/7, he got signed with the Packers. So we played with the Packers. So we did like the long distance thing for a couple months, and then got cut. He kind of bounced around a little bit. And then once he kind of figured out that his football career was over, he literally DM'd some guy on Instagram and was like, oh, you are like, you train NASCAR pit crew members. Like, I want to know more information. And the guy that he messaged started, I think, I might be like jumbling up my facts here, but like started a like pit crew diversity program. And so he was like, jump on a call with me, got on a call with him. He was like, okay, I have to go to Charlotte. And basically he set up a bunch of interviews for him. And then he called me or FaceTimed me when he was in Charlotte and was like, I just got a job with one of the teams. He's like, I think I'm going to take it. So I was obviously thrilled for him because it still is a sports-esque job. And then moved here, and then basically like the plan was for me to move with him because we had already lived together for like 1.5 years at that point. And then moved here.
I'm just like,
with him.
listening because the way the stories are so similar, except for the guy I was with. He was on the football team, but he tore his ACL maybe like he didn't get to the combine because he tore his ACL. So football career was over. We lived together so we both went to grad school. So we lived together during grad school. And then we would like come back and forth here to Charlotte just because it was like 3 hours from Marshall and it would be like a little vacation. And originally we were like, oh, we're going to move to Miami because that's where he was from. And then we came here and we were like, I kind of like it here. Like it's cool. So we kept coming back just to like confirm that we really did like it. And then we said, okay, we're going to move to Charlotte. And neither of us had a job. And I was going to graduate a semester before him. So I was like, okay, well, if I get a job, then I'll just go early. And then you can come like once you finish school.
Yeah.
It didn't work out like that because he actually started applying to jobs and he got a job before me. So I ended up staying there in Huntington for a semester basically, but I had a job there, so I just worked there. And then we said, okay, he has a job, so we're gonna move. And I was gonna just move without a job and like just wing it.
Yeah.
So we ended up doing that, and then I got here, and I think I came here in May of 2019, and then by July, I had found a job, which was insane because I had applied to like thousands of jobs. I don't know how I didn't get one before, but that was a humbling experience.
Yeah.
So once you guys, well, he got a job and he said he was going to come here. Did you already know you were going to be coming with him, or was it like a conversation of?
I don't even remember. Like, it wasn't a conversation like immediately like, do you want to come with me? Because I think he was a little bit nervous, like ripping me from my hometown, kind of like I had never left Louisville. And we lived together in Louisville because basically that was his home base when he wasn't like traveling or in Green Bay or whatever. So I think he was like a little bit nervous because he knew that was like kind of going to be like a serious step. But yeah, but at that point, like, I think he was literally driving back to Louisville like every weekend. Like his practice was from like Monday through Thursday, and he would leave on Thursday and drive to Louisville and then like stay until Sunday until races started on Sundays. And then so like he was coming back so often. Like we basically still lived together, but yeah, I don't remember like if we actually had a conversation of, do you want to do this? Because I want you, like I want you to be here with me, but I also don't want to remove you from your home if you don't want to go. Yeah. And at that point, I needed to leave. I think I needed a change of scenery. Like I think like a new start with work. I felt like I was kind of getting in a sticky spot with work where I wasn't like progressing like I wanted to. But yeah, I was like, I think it was 8 or 9 months. And then I like rode the lease out in Louisville, and then like he came back, packed all our stuff up. We packed everything up and drove to Charlotte.
Oh, so did you already have like a job here, or were you were coming regardless?
I was coming regardless. So one of the thing that I'm like very, very grateful to him for is that like he was able to recognize like how fortunate he was to kind of have like a free living situation in Louisville when he first moved, and like all he had to focus on was training, getting his body in the best shape possible, and then like getting into the league. Like he didn't have to worry about anything else. Yeah. So he kind of wanted me to have that same setup when I moved to Charlotte. Like, hey, I'll pay the rent. I'll, just like do whatever you need to do. Like, I want you to have the opportunity to just like full force, like focus on everything that you want to do, which was amazing. And even when coming from the NFL into NASCAR, salary was like significantly different.
Yeah.
I mean, he's really good with money, and he had saved up a lot of money, but that was a burden that I guess that he was willing to like take on for me. So when I moved here, in Louisville, I started creating a nutrition program. So I'm an exercise science major. I'm a performance enhancement specialist. I'm a strength and conditioning coach. I'm like a group fitness instructor, personal trainer, and I have I'm the certified sports nutritionist. So I was creating my own kind of like nutrition program, and I was pouring a lot of time and energy into that in Louisville. And like, I put him on a nutrition program. Like, I was working with nutrition with our new athletes, like our guys that were coming in, our female athletes, our high school kids, our grade school kids, adults, whatever. So when I moved to Charlotte, I really focused on that. So I finished that nutrition program. I was trying to pull in new clients. I had actually just landed, I kind of not a job, but a spot with a nutrition company that I loved. And it was one of their like sponsored athlete positions. So I had worked to get to that point for a very long time. Like, that was a goal that I made myself in college. So got that. I was very excited about it. And then I was kind of doing more online training, and I put all my energy into that. And it was growing. Like, I had clients and everything like that. And I remember I did like one or two like very intense challenges with clients and me and the company that I was working with. And I remember and I was pumping out videos on Instagram. Like, I was really trying to like build this whole brand that was myself, because that's all I was doing at the time. Like, I didn't have to worry about paying rent and things like that. Like, I still paid my bills, but I like got to the point where I was like, I don't really like love doing this anymore. I had done it for so long, and it just like, I was just exhausted.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't want to do this. And so, yeah.
That sucks.
So then I was
Only
like,
because like you spent so much time like getting your degree, and I
Right.
feel like very much on topic, like that is one thing that always was so stressful for me, is like you're supposed to choose what your career is at 18, and it's like you have no idea what you want to do,
Right.
what you like. It takes experience, I feel like, to really be like, oh, like you said, I don't actually like this. I want to do something else.
yeah. And it's not like, I guess it was just, I didn't know how to like stop or cut myself off. Like, I would be with clients, I would undercharge, and I would be 24/7 open communication. There was I set no boundaries with myself. And that was like, I think one of the things that drove me into the ground. But yeah, just like, I was like, damn, I feel like I just need a break from this.
Yeah.
So then I like kind of took a step back and regrouped. Like, I was still trying to train. And then it was in the middle of COVID when I moved. So I'm like writing training programs, writing nutrition programs, trying to film videos from my 700 square foot apartment. And I was like, okay, like Charlotte's cool, but like, I don't go outside. I'm not meeting any people. Like, I don't know what to do. So then I started working at the gym.
I'm just like, it's because I lived here for a couple months before COVID happened. And so I actually started doing F45 when I was in college. Our rec center had like different studios in it, and one of them was an F45 studio.
Oh, cool.
And the guy I was with ended up, I want to say he actually might have been an exercise science major as well. So he ended up getting a job at our rec center, like training, and then he I guess, I don't know, was there like a training for F45? Because he ended up being an F45 instructor, and he was like, you should try this workout, like you'll really like it. And so I started doing it. I was literally obsessed with it. I started going probably like 6 days a week. It was
my God.
insane. And at the time I was like trying to get skinny. So that's what I was doing. And then when I came here to Charlotte, so when I moved to Charlotte, there were no F45s. I think maybe there was one, but it was so far. And so I started doing Orange Theory because that was close to my apartment.
Yeah.
I fucking hated it. That treadmill,
I could not.
and so I kept looking because I'm like, how is this workout not in Charlotte? So I kept looking online, and I seen that the F45 in South End was opening, and I think they had like a sign up form or something like for them to contact you. So I did that, and it ended up opening, I think, in June of 2020. I literally started going on my birthday, which is June 30th. And then at that point, I, again, like just got obsessed with it. I would literally, Jackie, I lived in South Charlotte, like almost in South Carolina.
Yeah.
And F45 South End was the first one. I worked in South End. So I would get up every morning. I would drive to South End. I would work out. I would drive back home to like shower and get ready for work. Yeah. And then I would come back. And then, because at the time when it opened, that was the time of 2020 where people were like, okay, we're going to open things kind of, sort of. And that's why the gym was open. And then we had to go back into the office. But then eventually, no, Nova. They closed the office back. And so then I was just driving to South End for the but I didn't care. I would wake up every morning at literally like 5 a.m., drive 20 minutes for the 45-minute workout. And yeah, so that's where we met.
Yeah.
And you were a trainer there. And I think, I'm trying to think of who else were the trainers. You were one of my favorites. Like, you were normal, and I think we always had, like, no, the others were normal, but you were more, like, personable. Like, we would have conversations in the workout,
fair.
like, joke around, all of the things. And then you left. Do you still work at F45?
No.
No? Okay. I don't go anymore because I just couldn't. I feel like this was during the time, too, like, when you were there, like, my back was hurting
your back was
so bad. And then so I stopped going at one point, and then last year I re-signed up. I didn't have my founding membership anymore, so I had to pay more.
Damn.
And I tried it again, and it was like F45 was just too much, like, because my back was fine. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go back. I had went to the chiropractor, I had done all these things, and I was like, oh, I'm good to go now.
Yeah,
And then as soon
everything's
as I went back, it was like the same thing.
Back flares
yeah,
up.
it
Yeah.
flared up. So I stopped going, and then I just started doing like other workouts. But you don't work there anymore, right?
No, I left like a year and a half ago, a little over a year and a half ago. Yeah, so it's been a minute.
Okay. And so did you leave to go work somewhere else, or Nova? No.
So no, yes. I left because I was like, okay. It got to a point where I'm glad that I started working there because I met like some of my best friends in Charlotte. And but I got comfortable working there, and there's no growth as an F45 coach.
Yeah.
And so I started getting I started my real estate license, that whole process. And then, yeah, I think me and my ex were kind of like on our way out. And I remember like he wanted me to leave that gym like way sooner. And I should have. And I should have just like quit and made myself uncomfortable and just like poured all of my time and energy into finishing real estate and working on that. But like, but I didn't. And then when I was like, oh shit, I'm probably going to have to find a place to live. And my income is F45 income, which I can't
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't rent anything with an F-45,
Yeah.
like barely a car for the week. And so I was like, I'm going to have to find a job that has like some income on paper. So because I'm going to have to find a place to live.
Yeah. Okay. So I think you skipped a big part.
Yeah. Like 3 years.
So, okay, wait, because we need to talk about, so you were in your relationship, and how long was like the overall relationship?
Like 6 years.
6 years?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Mine was from what, 2013 to like 2000, the end of 2019, so however many years that is. So you guys were living together, he was working, you were having your relationship. What happened?
I think that I could give you a very like in-depth like brain pick what I think was like the deep-rooted issue, but the conversation that we had, like he kind of like started pulling away, I think like a significant like a while before a conversation was had.
Yeah.
Which upsets me because I'm like, why would you not have said anything to me before then? But I know that he is like, it was bothering him in his head and he just wanted to make sure like his thoughts were in order. But his like pull back in the relationship like caused me to like reach and grab forward. And that's not really what I needed to do.
Yeah.
Like I needed to hug myself.
Yeah.
But I think that he just at 6 years he was like, I don't know what I want to do. Like pretty much, yeah. Like I don't know what I want to do, and I don't know if he really knew maybe what was like the most important thing to him at the time, and the most important thing was like not a relationship. I think it was like growing. Like him growing, I don't even know if like as a person is what like growing towards his goals. Like he wants to move to California and have land in California. That was like that's his end all be all. And I knew that from the beginning. I was always supportive of that. I'm not the type of person that like, I'm like, oh, I want to live in Austin, Texas when I get older.
Yeah.
Like I don't care where I'm at. I just want to be like happy, healthy, at peace, in a loving relationship, like, and I'll figure out where I want to be with that. And so in my mind, if he's committed to Northern California and I thought this was like my forever person, like by all means, like I would love to go to Northern California, you know?
Like you were going to go where he was going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that was part of the issue for him. He didn't want to be like steering, like I think he felt like he was steering me in a direction. So he's like, I don't want to make you go to California. I'm like, I'm not going to go somewhere where I don't want to go, but I also don't want to be somewhere where I don't feel like I'm wanted. And I think even from like kind of the beginning, it almost felt like this, like, and we have had this conversation, like it almost felt like the other woman, like was this like land and his idea of what he wanted, like in his head, this goal, this dream that he wanted. And then there was me, and it was kind of like, well, if you don't want this, then like I'm leaving you in the dust. And that's like, that's fine. And because I knew that at the beginning of the relationship. So it was like, I'm like, I'm cool with that. Like everything that we have talked about, like I'm aligning with.
I'm on board with it.
Yeah, I'm cool. But yeah, I think it got to a point, like, cause we had moved a couple times in Charlotte, and like, I still wasn't financially like in a really good place with changing careers, and I wasn't pulling in income that I was splitting everything with him 50-50. And he had bought in a place, that we had lived at. And at first it was like, I don't want you to help me pay my mortgage. And then it was like, oh, this would be a little bit of a relief for me. So I think more communication was just needed.
Yeah.
And I would have loved to been able to help him. Like I
What
wish that
you-
I would have
yeah.
I wish I would have like pushed more to be uncomfortable. I would have made more money sooner. But, and I think that he felt like I was a little bit, I think he definitely thought that I was like dependent on him, which,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously I'm not, but
Yeah. But I don't
Yeah.
think that you should think of it like, oh, you should have tried harder to like start your career and all of the things. Because the same way that you said he knew, or you knew that his dreams were to be in California, like he also knew what you were doing, and that essentially you were going to have to depend on him if you were coming to Charlotte for that time period until you kind of got what you wanted, essentially. And I when I had my breakup, it was not like that at all. It was, he was a fucking cheater, so there was
hate
that. But it was a situation where I had moved here with him, and we did split the expenses and everything. And so when the breakup happened, everything that, like, our apartment was based on both of our incomes. So if we weren't going to live together, I wasn't going to be able to stay in that apartment. And so I essentially had to, like, well, first he couldn't afford it either. So he couldn't move. Neither of us could move out yet because we were in a lease. And so luckily we had 2 bedrooms. So he moved into the other bedroom.
No. Oh my God.
And so we had to be very, like, amicable because we had to live together essentially. And so it was, very.
And he cheated on you and you knew? And that's,
Well, I found out.
and you had to sit here and cohabitate with him.
Yeah. But we didn't see a lot of each other. So he, like, worked. And at the time I was working from home. So, like, I would be home and then he wouldn't be there during the day. And then, like, by the time he got back, I would, like, be in my room. But that was very short-lived. And even though he cheated, like, we very much still, I think more me attempted to, like, end on good terms because the main thing was like, okay, well, I'm here in Charlotte now. I don't know anyone. I have no friends. The only people I know are my coworkers at the time. And so, yeah, it was a situation that, one, was such a lesson. I will never live somewhere that I can't afford by myself, ever. I don't care if I'm in a relationship or not. I'll never do it again. I'll never be in that situation.
Yeah.
'Cause that was, like, a setup. But again, like you, I thought, oh, I'm going to marry this person. Why wouldn't I get this apartment with them? Like, it's going to be fine. And it wasn't our first apartment together. And so the breakup was a little bit different, but
Right.
so, yeah.
So is ours.
So wait, when you guys decided you were going to go your separate ways, what was your thought process there, being that essentially you hadn't really kicked off your career yet. You're in this city where you don't know too many people, but you've made a few friends. You're working at F45, which no group fitness studio pays enough for anyone to, like, most instructors that I know work at several studios or they have a full-time job.
Yeah.
And so you were still getting your real estate off the ground, which even with real estate, like, it takes a little while to get your clientele and things like that. So you guys were like, okay, we're going our separate ways. What the fuck did you do?
Girl. So I at this point I was not working at F45 anymore.
Okay, so you had quit.
So I had quit like in June, maybe. And I kind of, like, we had already had conversation. I, like, clung onto that relationship. Like, I did everything. And I told him this, like, before we even gotten into a relationship, I was like, the person, like, my husband, if there's issues that I'm having with my husband, like, there is not anything that I will not do to save that shit. Like, I want to be married one time and it is for life. And, like, literally I will fight tooth and nail for that relationship. And that is literally what I did, because with 1000% certainty, like, was like, this is my husband, this is my partner, this is my person, this is the father of my children. Like, that is what I wholeheartedly knew to believe.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I didn't have the F45 paycheck. I barely had any savings because life. And then,
Yeah.
so I moved down the hall from him.
Okay, at least you weren't in the house with him like me, but close.
Yeah, there was one door in between us, like literally one unit in between us. So because an instance occurred where the girl that lived, she owned that unit and she was living in another unit. And I was like, hey, I need to move out 6 weeks ago. I needed to move out 6 weeks ago. Can I like pay your mortgage or whatever you need me to pay you so you can break even or make money? And can I live there for the month of November? And she was like, sure, give me whatever. I couldn't afford that. Like what she asked me. But like, I was like, okay, like looks like I'm scraping the bottom of the barrel with my savings. Like forked up November, I paid for December. Yeah, we were 2 doors down from each other. So as you can imagine, going from talking and being around somebody 24/7 for the past 6 years, being infatuated with each other,
Yeah.
to like, now we're not supposed to talk. We're not supposed to text. Like, we don't go to the grocery store together anymore. Like, and then like we would still talk, like we would still text sometimes. Like I would go down there drunk, he would come down there drunk. Like we wouldn't do it, but it was just like, hey, I made cookies, like I brought you cookies home, or I got you like I got you a sushi roll for takeout. Like, can I bring it over?
Yeah.
Yep, sure. You know, it was like it was a lot of that for a while until like February. So that was February 2024. It's been a year. Yeah, 2024. So I tried to stay in the building. I tried to get one of my other neighbors who has like 13 units to let me rent out one of his units. And he was just not having it. So I was like, okay. So one of the agents and one of the owners at the real estate firm that I worked at was like, I have a carriage house. You could stay in and just pay me whatever a month. And I like exhausted every single avenue I could to stay in the building, which I don't know why the fuck I wanted to do that anyway. Like that would not have been a good idea.
Yeah.
That would have been a really bad idea. So I packed up all my crap, and he took some of my kitchen stuff because I was like, I don't really have a big kitchen. I don't, I kept some stuff in our storage unit, and then I like moved into that carriage house for like three months. And then now I moved into I'm in a really old house in like Elizabeth, like Dilworth, or Elizabeth, like Myers Park area. And I'm obsessed with it.
Oh,
So
that's
yeah,
good.
but
Yeah.
we were neighbors for a while.
So why, whenever the breakup happened, because when the breakup happened for me, I immediately went to my boss. Mind you, I had only worked there like 6 months, and it was slightly before COVID and working from home. So I was like, I told her like, hey, this is what's going on. I had an amazing boss at the time, and I was like, I can't afford to live here. I need to go home to my mom's, like to West Virginia. Like, can I work remote? And at the time, remote work wasn't really a thing. And they essentially were like, no, but here's a bonus and here's a raise so that you can live here.
Oh my God.
And so because I was fully going to go home to my mom's at that point, I was like, I have no reason to be in Charlotte. And if I could have kept my job and went, I would have went. And essentially I should have anyways, because literally a couple months later, like COVID happened and we were working from home anyways, but I ended up staying. And so when you were looking at all your options and trying to figure out, why didn't you go home? Or did you consider going home?
I did not want to. Like, in my mind, I don't know if this is like delusion or me just like knowing that like So I am a hyper independent person, whether so and so thinks I am or not. Like I do not ask anybody for shit ever. And I just remember just being like, I'll figure it out. I did not, I don't know why. I just didn't want to go home. Like my parents were like, oh, just come home. My friends were like, are you coming home? Everybody was like, oh, are you going home? No, I'm just not going to do that. Like, I don't want to do that yet. And just drop everything that I've just like worked the past like year and a half, like worked my butt off to try to like build up towards. I was like, no, I'm finally like doing something that I feel like I could do for a really long time that would make me happy. I'm like, I'm not going to like toss that out the drain and just like start from square one. Like I wouldn't even know where to begin at home.
So, no, I think that's a good point. Like you didn't go home because you were like, no, I have to make this work. I did think about that because I'm also very independent. But at that point, I was like, well, this is my only option. I am going to go home. My mom was very much like, come home. And I was thinking, like, I'm not going to stay there forever. And so I ended up staying. But I wanted to ask, like, so you essentially stayed because, like, you had a point to prove?
No, I think so. For the first time, and I felt this like, I don't know, like shift in me kind of like finally pulling into who the type of person that I felt like I was supposed to be, or I guess becoming more like myself, I think. And it was, I was doing real estate and then I had started doing interior design. So I don't know if you ever met Bobby Hunter from the gym. I met her at the gym, but she started, her husband's a contractor. She literally just started her own interior design business. And she went from corporate life and was just like kind of did it on the side and then just decided to like jump in. And I've always like, I almost went back to school when I moved to Charlotte because I was like, maybe I'll do interior architecture or something more artsy, like how I feel like I am. I'm like, I'm very artsy. So I was pretty much like, hey, can I job shadow you? Can I follow you around all day and just like see what you do? And she was like, sure. So I kind of started doing that too. And I was doing that quite a bit with her, just like to see what she did. And then there would be like a couple, like when we did installs for a big project, she would just like pay me and Venmo me, which was nice. So I was doing a lot more of that and I wanted to continue doing that and real estate. And it like, I feel like it meshes really well together.
Yeah.
So that was really like the path that I wanted to continue on. And I couldn't, in the way that I like weaseled myself into doing design with her, I literally like, I guess I could ask somebody in Louisville at home, like, hey, can I job shadow you? But I didn't know anybody in that world at home. So it was going to be a lot more difficult. Like, oh, what's your degree in? I'm like, well, it's in exercise science. But so I just thought that I was just going to be like scrambling and confused and start from square one. And I had just gotten into a place where I'm like, ooh, I love this.
Yeah.
And now I know like where I want to take this with life. And I was like having like, I'm like, okay, now I want to do XYZ with the rest of my life. Now I want to do this. This is a goal of mine. This is a dream of mine. And I was able to kind of like piece those things together. So it was not about anybody else or proving anything to anybody. It was literally like, okay, this is who I feel like I like want to be and am. And I'm going to kind of continue that.
So do you think that would have happened if you would have stayed in the relationship?
Yeah. I do. Because I mean, it had just started and I was like, obviously I was going to continue to do it.
Yeah.
So
I was asking because when I got out of my relationship, I always tell people this, Jackie, literally the next day, every area of my life got better. Like, for example, I got a raise. I started making more money. That's like when I started going back to F45 and I like got in the best shape of my life. My skin got clear, like every area of my life.
Yeah.
And I swear it literally wasn't the next day, but it felt like it was the next day. And I was and you know, obviously as I was getting over the relationship and like healing, and I was like, this literally had to happen because I was so focused on that relationship was my priority. And so everything else came second to that. Like
Yeah.
everything. And
Yeah.
that was my own fault. And it was something like I learned now, like I don't do or behave in that way now. Like I'm really good, or I'm getting better at like balancing the two. But it was like, if I didn't get out of that relationship, I don't think that I would be living the life that I'm living now. So
yeah. It's, and I go to therapy because I love therapy. And that's like one of the things that me and my therapist talk about. And it's like, would those opportunities come up? There's no way I could say like, oh yes, every single one of those opportunities still would have happened, because like probably not, but different opportunities would have come up had I stayed in that relationship. But like, I am able to pour 100% of my time and energy goes into work. And that's not like, some people might be like, oh, you need a better work-life balance, but like, that's just what I'm doing right now. So
yeah, like that's the priority.
Yeah.
That's how it was for me too. Like once, like I don't think people even realize how much of a relationship takes up of like your time and your effort and your mental space. Like once you don't have that, it's like, why wouldn't I go to the gym every morning? I don't have anyone to stay up late with. Like you literally can focus on yourself. And it's like, there were so many things, like when you're in a relationship that long, at least for me, it was like, oh my fucking gosh, I can literally decide what I'm having for dinner, and I don't have to ask someone else or consider someone else for what I want for dinner. Like it was like very little things like that.
Yeah.
That were just felt so new to me because one, it was like my first time being single as an adult, and it was something that I was like, well, shit, I'm never getting it. I love this. I can literally do everything I want. I never have to consider another person. It sounds very selfish. I forget. What was I even saying?
I don't know.
Oh, we were talking a little bit about like how I was very selfish after, and I enjoyed it. So I guess like, so you started doing real estate, you met people at the gym, you found a place to live, all the things. And so you ended up not having to go back home. And so now, do you like Charlotte? Are you going to end up staying here long?
I really enjoy Charlotte. I do. I think it's fun. I think I'm getting into that like artsy. It is a very like artsy city, and it's a very creative. I think there's a lot of creatives here, which it like feels like it like sets a fire under me. So I like that aspect, but like I'm also don't feel like I'm like locked in here. Like I don't know. I want to travel, and I don't know why I feel like I like can see myself living abroad. So I'm like kind of infatuated with that idea right now, but yeah, I don't know. But for now, until I like kind of get everything like settled, until I feel like I can move wherever, like, yeah, I'm put.
Yeah. I feel like, at least from hearing the story today, like I know probably the breakup was difficult, but also I'm like, would you even have these thoughts of living abroad and things like that if you were still in a relationship, or would you be hyper focused, you think, on like California where he wanted to be?
So after I went to Europe for the first time, like I went with him. Like we went to Italy and Greece and then France. And I was like, oh my God, I want a house here. Like somewhere. I don't know where, but like I want a house here and I want to renovate one. And that was kind of like, even then, like one of my dreams or goals that I want to do. And I'm like, I would have still done that. I would have found my way into that. But like living abroad, probably not. Yeah. So.
Yeah. No, that's funny because the first time I went to Europe was in Paris, and I did not see myself living there only because the language barrier. I was like, yeah, I'm not sure. I liked the city. I loved Paris, but that was like the hardest part for me. Like it wasn't it was a really good experience, but one that I'll travel there, but not like one where
Yeah.
I would see myself living there. So no, that's interesting because I'm very much with Charlotte at this point. Like I'm over it. I'm like, I've seen everything I needed to see. There's nothing really that's keeping me here now except my current relationship. Like I work fully remote now. I could live wherever I want.
Yeah.
So there's nothing here that is like that I'm tied to, or kind of like you basically have built a business here. You have clients, like all of these things. I feel like the things that I like to do, like this podcast, like it can go
It can go
anywhere. So
ever,
I'm
yeah.
really much like, I'm over Charlotte. And I always think about too, like how certain things had to happen for me to even end up in Charlotte. Like if I wasn't in that relationship, I would have never came to Charlotte by myself.
Yeah.
And if I didn't come to Charlotte, I wouldn't have found my last job, which literally catapulted my career into something that I never even thought was freaking possible.
Yeah.
So it's like all of these things that were good but also bad had to happen just for me to end up with the life that I have now. And so
Yeah.
I'm glad about that. Was there anything specific that you did to like kind of get over the breakup and like move forward with your life in Charlotte and like do all the things to kind of keep yourself moving?
Besides the fact that I like had to, I don't know. I guess it's just like there's sometimes I will still get like overwhelmed with I'm like how did that happen? I'm like, because it very much was like a relationship where I was like, I wouldn't have changed a single thing about a lot of aspects. But I also know now, being out of it, it's like, okay, this is what I know that I won't tolerate again and I don't want to deal with and I will not accept.
Yeah.
Which is, I'm grateful for both of those experiences. And it's like, okay, if we can be the people that we want to be, or we need to be for each other, like, and we cross paths again, like it is what it is. Like don't know what my future is. I don't know, but yeah, I don't even remember what the question was now.
Me either. It's okay.
Sorry, I just like go on tangents.
No, it's okay.
But
so
it was probably a really good question.
no, it's okay. Like, what time is it? It's like 8. Oh yeah, my meds have worn off a long time ago. So my ADHD meds. So
Oh shit,
I'm not judging.
I gotta hit you up.
Yeah.
I'm running out.
Yeah, I'm like, yeah, it's okay. I tried to take him a little later today though, but it's fine. The brain goes out the door at around.
Oh, you asked what I did.
Oh yeah, to like
Wow, I said, whoop, I fucking beat all the way around that bush.
No, you said essentially like, well, I had no choice but to like move
keep
forward.
it trudging.
Yeah, like you weren't gonna fucking live in a cardboard box, so you
No.
had to make things happen. I agree. Like sometimes, like you have no choice, and that's why you end up doing things that you do. So I understand.
It's like sometimes I'm over it and sometimes I'm not.
Yeah,
So
yeah. It's like sounds like both of us spent our 20s just in a relationship and going through a breakup.
Literally.
And building our careers and figuring out life.
Exactly.
And so, oh my God, I'm like stressed thinking about the fact of turning 30. So when did you turn 30?
So spoiler alert, I'm 31.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I turned
my
31 in
gosh.
September.
Oh.
So I turned 30 when I was technically still in a relationship with him. So I turned 30 in September of 2023. Yeah. Oh my God, I'll be 32 this year.
I'll be 31.
That sounds kind of hot.
Yeah.
32.
Oh, wait, but before we get into that, are you dating now or are you in a relationship?
I
or?
am not dating and not in a relationship.
No? Have you done anything like get on a dating app or anything?
Oh God, no.
No?
That scares me. I don't know why.
People are weird.
That too, and I don't know. I feel like I would just like lose interest so fast. It's just like that doesn't excite me.
So how would you like meet someone in real life?
They would have to bump into me in the street.
You'd
and
have
like
to like sell
or
a house
catch
to
me
them.
while I was falling, you know, like something like really romantic. And I'd be like, oh my God. And then he'd be like,
It might be in the craziest way.
Right.
Do you know how I met my boyfriend?
Yes, that story is so funny.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's literally so insane. Like the craziest thing that's ever happened to me, like never in my plans. And then even once we started talking, like there was no plan for it to be like a relationship. It's like the most insane and best thing that's ever happened to me because
that's amazing.
I wasn't getting on like apps and doing all that stuff. I did try the apps once and I tried to meet up with 2 people and
Oh Jesus.
one person was catfished me and he was bald.
Stop.
Yeah, so I was
love
like,
bald men though.
oh, I don't. You do?
Just kidding. No, I mean, no, a cute guy is a cute guy. I'm not discriminating on bald men. I'm just saying.
I am.
Oh.
Unless
Okay. Well, hey.
unless it's my man and then he goes bald, like
That's fair. That's fair.
I'll be fine with that. The other person, I just was not interested. Like it was, just not interested. So then I got off of that and I never did it again because I was like, what the fuck? Like I'm not this desperate. Not saying people who get on them are desperate, but like that's what it felt like to me.
I
Like
just didn't care that much.
yeah, it felt like I was just trying too hard to meet someone, and then when I stopped trying, then it worked out.
Yeah.
So yeah, so you're just going with the flow and whatever happens, happens. So, okay, so you turned 30. Did anything happen when you turned 30?
I went to dinner
That's it?
with a person that I knew that didn't want to be with me anymore.
Oh.
And then, that was it. Last 31 was really good though. I went horseback riding in the mountains in Asheville.
Were you like stressed or nervous about turning 30? Like, did you feel
I feel
any
like
way?
no.
Oh my
I was
gosh.
stressed because I was like, oh my God, this person doesn't want to be with me anymore. Mm-hmm. That's what was stressful for me. I couldn't give a shit less about my birthday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is crazy. But
I feel like leading up to my 30s, first of all, I had a plan of all the things that were going to happen before I was 30.
oh gosh.
I was going to be married. I was going to have kids. So when I went through this breakup, I was like, oh shit, now what? I did have some like career plans that I was like, okay, I want to make this amount of money by the time I turn 30, which that happened before I turned 30, but I wasn't, thank you. But it was like, I wasn't prepared I didn't think it was possible. So I didn't prepare anything past that goal.
Oh,
So like when it came to 30, I was like, wait, what's next? Like, what am I supposed to be working towards now?
You're like,
I was really stressed about it. I don't know why, because I wasn't like, I've heard people say, oh, your 30s are like your 20s, but you just have like more money. And I'm like, it was only like half of my 20s that were really like, I was literally fucking poor.
Yeah.
Not probably till like 27, 28 is when I started making like a good salary. But even then it was like, I didn't have money saved up or anything. So it wasn't like, oh, great, like making so much money, I'm rich now. Like it was never like that. And so I was really stressed about turning 30. I don't know what I thought was going to happen or what was going to be the situation of turning 30, but I was really stressed about it. And nothing changed. Like I had a really good 30th birthday. Like I was in Mexico with my boyfriend and it went really well. But then I think now I'm like at a space of like, okay, I'm 30. And now I'm thinking about like, oh, should I start freezing my eggs? Like what comes next? Like these are the things that I'm nervous about. And I'm like, I think I'm kind of over it now. I'm like, I've been 30 long enough. Nothing changed really. So I'm interested to see how it goes, I guess.
Yeah.
But what's been the worst part about being 30? Like, did anything change for you?
I feel like my body's like been doing some weird shit. like like I have gray hair. That I feel like that started happening, but like lately, I don't know, I have more gray hair. I had to start taking a pre and probiotic. I had a hangover last week, and I was hungover for like 2 days.
Oh my God. Let me tell you, Jackie, I cannot drink like I used to.
I've never been able to drink, and I don't know who the fuck I thought I was last week.
Jackie, I used to be really good, okay? Let me tell you, because when I, like the summer before I went to college and into college, I partied a lot. I could drink so good. This was, I wouldn't say I don't drink at all now, but I really don't drink at all now.
Yeah.
And I think it was like last summer, me and my boyfriend went to Southbound and they had like bottomless mimosas.
Oh God.
Jackie, it was on Saturday we went.
Mimosas.
I don't think I could get out of bed until Sunday night. It was so bad. And that was when I was like, oh yeah, I cannot do the things I used to do.
I'm a puker. I swear I'm allergic to alcohol.
Oh man.
It just doesn't sit well. All my friends know, like if you're watching Friends, I don't drink anything red. I can't do it. It comes up.
Oh God. Okay. Well.
So the hangovers are bad. My joints hurt a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think my joints I think have always hurt, but
Yeah,
so,
I'm kind of there.
But yeah, I was like, I have been though. I think 30 made me think about. This sounds bad, but like taking care of myself more. Like even just like the workouts I do. Like I'm like, okay, I really need to work on like mobility because I cannot barely move.
I literally just started enjoying being at the gym again, like literally in November. Since it took me a year and a half after I left the gym to like enjoy exercise. I have not enjoyed exercise like this since college, which is horrible.
Yeah.
But I literally do mobility for like 30 minutes. Like my actual lifting is not that extensive.
Yeah.
But like I'm warming up or
Yeah.
I will tear an ACL.
Yeah. I feel like that now, like with my work, like I cannot find something that I like, that I enjoy. I can't, I'm not like you, how you can just go to the gym. Like I'm a group fitness girly. I have to like, I wouldn't say I have to, but it's the best way to keep me accountable. And it's how I can stay the most consistent.
I get that.
I have to go to a workout class, and I'm also very structured. So like I like that, for example, with F45, it starts at the same time every day. It ends at the same time every day. You know, I knew exactly how long it took me to drive home. I knew how long it took me to shower. So I like the structure of a workout class. If I go to the gym, I'm just like, I can follow a workout, but I just get distracted easily. There's no one there. Like,
That's fair.
it's just, yeah. So I've been like struggling to find something that I like right now. But yeah, I try to like, I've been doing a lot of, I've been trying out like different, like yoga classes. Today I went to one and I was like, when is this over? It's so fucking boring. I was about to fall asleep in there.
Yeah, yoga took me a minute, but like once I did yoga a lot when I like we first broke up, and I was like, I remember just like laying on my back, whatever that pose is, and just like fucking crying. And because they would say some words at the end of class that would just like, I'm like, damn, how'd you know I was feeling like that today?
Oh,
But
yeah.
it takes I think yoga for me took a minute because I'm like a hyper ass, like high paced person. And to like sit down and like hold a pose for 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Like next.
Yeah.
But
And they,
like
and I think it's not that I wouldn't like it. It couldn't be my main source of a workout. It's like
no.
I
Agree.
don't feel like I'm getting enough out of it for it to be the full workout. But yeah, and I was like, today the class that I went to, it was a fucking hour. And I'm like, seriously, we could have done this in 30 minutes. Why? I literally kept looking at my watch. I'm like, when is this over? Oh my gosh. Like, I couldn't, by the end of it, I couldn't enjoy it because I couldn't believe that we were still going.
Yeah.
Like,
that's fair.
All the other people in there were fine. They were just, at the end, it was like they were just laying on the mat, and I'm like, can I just go now? I'm like, I don't want to do this part, but everyone else was, so whatever. But do you feel like, so wait, in your 20s, were you single at all? No, right?
Not for a day.
Oh, so then what's it like being single for the first time? Because wait, you've actually been single before or not been single since before your 20s.
No, because so I went from my high school and college boyfriend, and basically I was single, and me and my now ex were like friends, but I was like,
spending enough time with
I'm gonna
him.
marry this person.
Yeah,
it was weird.
Yeah,
and and then it was just like nonstop us since then. But I think I was, so I'm 31. I literally celebrated my 16th birthday with my first boyfriend. So I was 15 when the last time I was single.
So is it hard being single? Like,
no.
This
is like, my friends came to visit me like last February, and one of my best friends was like, I was really scared that you weren't going to be able to like do anything like by yourself. I love being by myself. I am a freaking ball. I have so much fun. Period. I'm like, yo, I love me. I have always like, I thank goodness, like I've always like loved the person that I am like very deeply. I'm like, I think I'm a great person. I'm like, I have some freaking fun, man. Last night I made homemade ravioli. I was dancing in the kitchen. Like, do not text me. Do not call me. Do not bother me. Nobody.
This
not a friend.
Sounds better for you.
I like the thought of like taking myself on a solo date sounds more exciting than like going on a date with somebody.
Yeah.
I'm like, thank you for the date advice. I'm going to do that by myself.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, I don't know. I'm okay with doing things by myself. I like almost prefer it now. I'll just like pop my AirPods in if I get overstimulated, and then
this is so good, because I feel like now, like, if you get into dating more, or like you decide you're looking for someone, like they're gonna have to come with some real good shit to like that, like to integrate into your world and like be a part of it. Because no, I'm like that. I genuinely think I'm the funniest person alive. So like when I'm by myself, I will crack up at myself, and I'm like, oh my god, like I cannot believe I'm that funny. Like I have so much fun by myself. I love a solo date too. Like my favorite is to go to the movies, and so that has been like interesting, or it was in the beginning of navigating my relationship, because I was very much set on like I didn't want to lose that independence in the relationship, and so I had to figure out like how to balance it. And luckily, like my boyfriend was really understanding, and like I explained to him like, this is why I need to do this, or this is why I need to do that. And so it's worked out, because once I was single and then I had that opportunity, I was like, yeah, I'm not giving this up for anyone. I agree. Like I'm genuinely find myself hysterical, and I'm like, I don't have to like run anything by anybody. I do not have to check a second opinion. I could do a poll and 8,000 people could say, Jackie, you need to go with B. If I want A, I'm picking A. Period.
Thank you for your input, but no, thank you.
Yes.
And I'm like, I was just curious what y'all's opinion was, but like, I don't y'all
care.
are wrong.
Yeah.
All of you.
Exactly. I'm sure that's literally how I think. Did you ever consider getting a dog? Because I definitely got Nova, because I was like, okay, I'm kind of scared to be by myself, which I'm really glad I did get a dog. Like it was super helpful. But now we both, I think, are extremely attached to each other. So I'm not sure how good that is. But did you ever think about that?
Well, so the place that I live now told me no pets.
Oh.
So I had to be the dog in this relationship too. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's
I
even
know.
better. Because I think that was like my coping mechanism. Like, okay, let me get something else to take care of.
You're like, I have to put my energy into something else.
Yeah, yeah. It's insane. Okay, so I only have a few more questions. So I want to know, what is one piece of advice you would give your younger self? It doesn't have to be about dating or anything, but just life in general.
I wish that a couple things. I wish that I was more selfish, like not in a like a rude way to other people, but I wish that I chose myself more often because I never did that. Like I never chose myself,
Yeah.
and so putting myself first and my needs first. And then I think like one thing that really still to this day like messes me up in so many relationships that I've had in the past, like friendships, like relationships with coworkers or bosses or whatever. It's like I am so sick of like trying to get people to see my worth and my value. If you don't see it, like I'm not explaining to you what I'm bringing to this job, what I'm bringing to this relationship, what I'm bringing to the function. Like I'm not, I do not need to tell you. I'm keeping my mouth shut. And if you don't appreciate it, like then it's not going to show up again.
Yeah.
And I literally used to fight and defend myself, like fight for myself and defend for myself. I'm like, damn, I could have been knitting or something, like doing literally anything else, like more. Like, why was I doing that?
Yeah.
I think that is like, I'm like, just like step back or just be like, hey, if you're not going to appreciate this aspect of me, or if you're not going to value this aspect of me, then I'm leaving, or go find somebody that brings a better value to your workplace or your life or your whatever, your friendship. Find somebody that's a better friend. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sick.
No, that's really good advice. I think when I think of everything we've talked about, I think one of the, I guess, not a piece of advice I would give to my younger self, but like my younger sister, for example. I think that leaving your hometown is like a cheat code. And I think even just so my little sister didn't go to college, and the only reason that I don't like that, it has nothing to do with the education. It's everything else that came with college of like learning to be independent. You get to experience so many different people and just learn so much stuff aside from school that
Yeah.
I genuinely am not sure you learn that if you don't go to college. And so if my sister decides to go to college, like that'll be great. But until then, I'm like really big on like teaching her all of the things that I know, especially things like I try to really teach her a lot about like politics, but also showing her like when this year was the first time like she could vote, and so I like sent her this diagram that shows like what Republicans believe versus what Democrats believe, because she knows very strongly like what my views are, but I still wanted her to be able to like see, okay, look at this and like what do you resonate with?
Yeah.
And so those were things that I'm like I figured out in college, and I just think it's important for people, especially younger people, and it doesn't have to be in your 20s, but I do think people should like leave their hometown and go see what else, because what's in Charlotte, I don't think you could get in Kentucky, and I definitely couldn't get in West Virginia. So it's just the experience of little things like, you know, going through a breakup and then figuring out how do I keep my life moving. Like those are the things that I just think are so important with, and they're forced upon you if you do leave from where your parents are or where, you know, who your comfort zone is, which
1,000%.
I need to look at the camera and say this, Leia, I'm not telling you that you need to move to another city now. You need to stay at home as long as possible. I had to say that because she's already like thinking about moving, and I do not want you to think that this is me telling you to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, so last question. What is it that you're still like figuring out?
Oh my God. I feel I'm the type of person that like I want to be forever learning. Like I don't ever want to think that I have like the most knowledge or everything figured out, because when you stop like learning or I guess like craving more or figuring things out or whatever, I feel like you're like done growing kind of. But I am still figuring out how to like juggle work-life balance, first of all. Because I just like, some days I could not shut my laptop until 1 a.m. That's like just like the business that I'm in, unfortunately. But I think like also asking people for help. Like I don't ask people for help. And I am also a believer that people need each other. Like we're just relationship centric beings. Like we need others.
Yeah.
And I am growing towards like, hey, you are better at me than this. Can you teach me this? Or can you help me learn this? Or can you help me carry this dresser up the stairs? Like I was going to do it by myself. Like I think just like learning to forfeit control and lean on people a little bit more, or knowing that it's okay and that I'm not just being a burden to ask somebody to help me.
Yeah.
Or teach me, or
Yeah, that's a really good one. I think I'm still just figuring out like how to do all the like I feel like every day I come up with a new idea of something that I want to do, and I'm like, how can I do all of this stuff? Like, and especially because a lot of the things that I'm interested in or that I want to do are on completely different ends of the spectrum.
You have ADHD.
Yeah.
Same.
So it's like this podcast, but then like for work, for example, I work in operations, but I really love it. And so I'm like, okay, how can I fit this into podcasting, and how can I create a business that includes operations and podcasting, and what can I do? Like just the other day I was watching a TikTok and this girl was making cake pops, and I really like to bake, but I was like, I think I want to start a cake pop business. Like it'll just be random stuff from day to day. Like I literally will be laying in bed at night and I'll think of a new idea, and I literally have to write it down because I forgot, and I'm like, how am I going to do all of this? That's what I'm trying to figure out. And I'm also trying to figure out like what are the things that I actually want to do versus like something that I randomly thought of. Because you know how ADHD is like you'll think of something, you hyperfixate on it, you'll buy all the supplies for it and do it.
I am like, ooh, this is me.
Yeah.
I think that's why it's taken me so long to figure out what I want to do with my life, because like I can do 15 things and like it for a day, 2 days, a week, a month, 2 months, 2 years. And then I'm like, psh, like literally I do not ever want to do that again.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, ooh, I've been scared to like dive headfirst into something, because I'm like, damn, when I dip my toe in, I don't like the way the water feels. Like, because I thought I was going to, and now I don't.
Yeah. So. I struggle with that so bad because I hyperfixate on things to like an unhealthy amount. Like F45 at one point, I would literally was just like in a competition with myself in my head of like, how many days in a row can I go without a break?
Yeah.
Like just ridiculous stuff like that like I would just get so obsessed with it. And then now I'm like, I never want to go back to, no offense to F45, but sometimes I do think about it again, because I'm like, that's the most consistent with a workout I've ever been. And this is why every time I stop going, I end up going back, because I'm like, maybe I will. But I hyperfixate on things to my detriment. Like I spend a shit ton of money on stuff, and I just, it's bad. So I'm still trying to figure that out and just figure out like what is it that I actually want to just focus on and like do. And also like everything doesn't need to become a business just because
you like to do it.
Yeah.
That's my issue with art. Like I think I like giggle a little bit when people, if I meet somebody for the first time, I'm like, oh, what do you do? And I'm like, no. Like, this is the things that I do. But like, I would like to get more into, like, I do art, I do commission art pieces for people. But it's like, at what point am I going to get like sick and be like, "Ugh, I don't want to do this anymore."
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
I don't want to make it like my only job. So
Yeah.
I'll just keep it in my back pocket.
Yeah, because some things are less enjoyable once they become a job. Like, it's not for fun anymore, and like
Yeah.
you're forced to do that. Me and LJ have talked about that too, because you know he's a photographer, but he likes the creativity part of it. But like when you have clients, you have to do what they want you to do,
Yeah.
and a lot of times they don't give like creative control, and so like he's like super creative, and like that part is like, this is his business, so it like
You
can
have to
stunt your creativity,
cater to the client.
yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, Jackie, this has been really great. I'm so glad we had this conversation. You did so good. You didn't
Thank
even seem
you.
nervous.
I know. I chilled out.
Yeah, you did
chilled out.
so good. And this was such a good conversation. I literally, when we were like briefly talking, I was like, oh, our stories sound kind of in common, but I didn't know they were going to be that
So
in common.
similar.
Yeah,
Yeah.
even like down to the years is
Yeah,
crazy.
I know.
That's actually insane. Okay, actually, I do have one last question. What is like next with real estate? Like, how's it going in general?
Last year was my best year. So, and I think historically, like, election years are like the worst. And I know a lot of agents like across the board had like their worst years last year. So I'm very, very fortunate. I needed to have a good year, and I did have a good year last year. So I'm really just trying to like pull that into this year. But yeah, I'm also trying to like build with design and like pick up. I did a couple of like my own design projects that actually like came into fruition at the end of last year. So that was amazing feeling.
Oh, nice.
But I would like to like lead my own, and me and the woman I work with. I'm not gonna say lady, because I always say lady and she's like, you're making me sound like an old woman. But that's kind of like something that we talked about, like the direction that I want to go in and that she wants me to go into. So yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, so where can the people find you, like on socials?
They can find me. I have 2 Instagram accounts.
It's okay, plug both.
Should I? Jackie Stratman, J_Stratty is my personal account. And then Jackie Selling Charlotte.
I'll link both of them in the show notes.
Yes.
So your personal Instagram and your real estate Instagram, and have people go there in case they want to buy a house.
That would be amazing.
Yeah, that'll be nice. I don't know if I'm buying a house anytime soon, but if I buy
feels-
one in Charlotte, I'll let you know.
I'll be here.
Yeah, because it's such a huge responsibility.
It is a huge responsibility. It is.
I'm like, the only thing that I love about renting is like, I will literally call maintenance to come change a light bulb.
Be for real. Are you serious?
I'm dead serious.
Oh my God.
Whenever the smoke detector needed the batteries changed, I called them. One time I didn't even know. It was like the outlet wasn't working and he just came and flipped the breaker. It'll be stuff like that.
Danielle.
And they literally know me at this point. They're so nice though, but yeah, I love that.
They have like a secret knock.
Probably.
Yeah. Oh my God. I will not ask my landlord for anything. That's horrible. I like changed the smoke detector. I'm probably going to have to fish the drain in my bathtub.
Oh, I'm absolutely not.
I don't
doing
think
that.
I can do that. That's one thing. I'm not an independent woman when I need to snake my drain.
Oh yeah.
I need a man or another woman.
landlord
Doesn't
would
matter.
need to be prepared to be sick of me, because I hopefully they would have texts, because I would be texting them.
Yeah. I'm texting all of them. Help.
Okay, well, we're going to get out of here because it's getting late and Jackie is sick of being here at this point. Nova has finally calmed down. But thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at The Subjective Pod. And if you're listening on Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts, leave a review. 5 stars, but whatever you have to say it with your chest. Okay, bye. Hey guys, it's Danielle again. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Subjective. This whole production was directed, executive produced, and brought to life by yours truly. Remember, all rights reserved, so don't even think about trying to steal my shit. Catch you in the next episode.